Welcome to DDS. Real fans, real sports dog, no BS. We are your hosts, Blake Melton, Bradley Newberry, and the man, Matthew Two-Tone Blue Parker. Parker, a little bit deflated today.
Just a little bit. My heart's a little, aches a little bit.
Can't hardly stand it.
There are a lot of aching hearts around the NFL, but man, this show is going to be stacked. We're going to quickly skip through the Jags. We'll talk about the Cowboys. We'll talk about Tampa Bay. We're going to talk about Henry Ruggs. We're going to talk about Winston and more. But we're going to start with our hometown team, the Tennessee Titans. We'll get to the aftermath next. But first, they go into Indy. 34-31 overtime victory over the Colts in a very fun game.
Yeah, it was a fun game to watch, really. I mean, we kind of had a feeling it was going to be a pretty good game. The defense, I mean, the Hawk Byard, he was out there doing his thing, coming up big. I mean, but for me, I mean, look, everybody did okay. I mean, obviously, Derrick Henry was not having his best of game, and we'll talk a little bit more about why that might have been here in a minute. But ultimately, I think this came down to Carson Wentz sucks. I mean, I think he cost them. I mean, he did cost them that game just because of his poor decision making, in my opinion.
You know what, though? That interception he threw at the end for a touchdown was better than a safety because it was over if it was a safety.
Yeah, but he dropped down to throw it sidearm down at the receiver's feet, and then he decides to switch hands and throw it overhand left-handed when he could have just thrown it at his feet and have been an incomplete pass.
I don't know why he was throwing it left-handed. I don't know why they were calling that play from their own end zone.
Yeah, what do you do? A screen from your end zone? Why are you even thinking about doing that?
It makes no sense. Titans pulled that off a few weeks ago because I think it was so unexpected, but it is a stupid play.
Yeah, it's not a very high percentage play. Not at all.
But you mentioned something I actually want to talk about. You talked about Byard,
and
I wanted to bring up this defense.
Yeah, I've got some defensive notes too.
You go right on.
Oh, no. So Byard with a huge INT, obviously. I want to call out Landry again. 4 tackles, a sack, a forced fumble. I'll continue to say that I don't like their cornerbacks, and I'll continue to forever say I don't like your GM. But, I mean, this is 2 weeks in a row, Parker. They're proving it.
Yeah.
It is. And these cornerbacks, dude, Maben, who the hell is he?
Yeah, we were texting during the game.
Yeah.
He was like, I don't know who Maben is.
Yeah, I'm like, I feel like I know this roster pretty damn well. And I'm like, who is this guy? He's awful. Good God. But Fulton should hopefully will be back this week.
That's what they're saying, yeah.
So we might actually be getting a little bit more healthy. And the thing that's so big about this, and we mentioned this a couple of weekends ago, that the secondary may not matter because the line is getting healthy and they are legit. When it comes to sacks, right now the Titans are 4th as a team in the NFL. They have 24 sacks through 8 games. Last year they had 19 the entire year. Landry.
Was that how many games in a row was that? Was it 5 or something like that? He's had a sack.
He's the number 2 in the league.
Yeah,
with 8.5. It's unbelievable. And
somebody looking to get paid.
He is, and
I don't know if the Titans will do it.
They have to pay him because you finally their thing is they want to bring somebody up from the inside, right? Like they did Derrick Henry, and they've got to sign him.
Yeah.
But Bud Dupree is playing like 45% of the snaps. They're going up a little bit every game as he gets more and more healthy. And it's just going to get better and better and better.
Yeah, I believe he's getting close to some sort of record that Javon Curse set with the Titans.
I haven't seen that one.
Was it the consecutive games with a sack?
Boy,
because I know that I want to say that they said that he had the longest active streak right now in the NFL for. I could be wrong. Don't listen to me. We're just fan. I'm just a fan.
We're just
don't listen to me.
But we did hear Curse's name, so there's something floating out there with total sacks in a row.
I mean, David Long still playing, lights out. Jayon Brown getting, starting to get healthy, getting some reps back in the game. I mean, these are all good things for the Titans for sure on defense.
I'm going to touch on some numbers from the Colts real quick while we're looking up some Javon Curse stuff. So Jonathan Taylor, of course, as predicted, 122 total yards, a touchdown. Pittman, their receiver, had 2 touchdowns before I could even sit down with my lunch. 10 catches, 86 yards, and 2 TDs. So, I mean, the Colts got theirs, but the Titans, we haven't even talked about A.J. Brown yet.
I did find your curse stat. Landry has at least a half a sack in 6 straight games. It's the longest streak since Javon Curse. And Harold Landry has surpassed Ray Childress and Javon Curse for the most sacks with this amount at this point in the season.
Wow.
The record was 8. Now it's 8.5.
Wow.
There you go. Production. Talk about A.J. Brown's production, because the Titans are going to need him. They're going to need him to stay away from Chipotle. He had 10 catches, 155, and a TD.
I mean, what else can you say about this guy? I mean, everybody was really, I think a lot of folks anyway, were focusing on Julio. Oh, this is going to be a game changer. What it did is I think it made A.J. Brown step up, and he said, nuh-uh, this is downtown A.J. Brown's team right here. And let me tell you, the kid's shining. I mean, he needed to up his game. Not that he wasn't playing well already thus far in his career, but my goodness, he is just an absolute beast over the middle whenever he gets the ball.
He's special. He took that one over on the corner that should have been like a 15-yard gain and turned it into a 57-yard touchdown.
Yep.
I don't know that anybody else on the team, maybe a healthy Julio, but does that. It's just a different level. And Julio's practicing this week. So if you get both those guys back there, it's going to be, it's still, even with Henry out, it's still going to be incredible.
Yeah, I mean, you stack them on one side, one goes deep, one crosses. I mean, which one do you cover? If you're the safety, I don't know which one you cover.
He had 11 targets. He caught 10 of them.
Yeah. Well, the key there, though, is Tannehill has to be accurate. He has to get it within a certain radius of those guys. And, well, we'll get into what happened in the game here in a second.
So one more thing before we go on to the aftermath.
Yeah. Blake
and Parker, how many flags were thrown in this game?
Too many.
I got the number. 11. 11 Titans penalties.
I got news for you, though. Some of these defensive holding, pass interference calls are ridiculous.
They're ticky-tack.
I mean, they're absolutely ridiculous. It is. I'm not just for the Titans. I mean, obviously, I'm going to say it about the Titans, but it's across the league.
It really is this year. Some of these, I think it was Jeffrey Simmons that got called for cleaning up a pile when there was no whistle. The guy was still fighting. They called him for a late hit.
Yes.
I mean, we were all texting about it. That is bullshit football is what that is. I know player safety. Dude, if you want player safety, blow the fucking whistle. They'll stop when you blow the whistle. Then you have a reason to flag them. I can guarantee you, this is what I text to these guys. What if that guy got away and kept running, they wouldn't have called him back.
Yeah.
So, I mean, until the whistle is blown, if the guy is fighting for yards, light him up. Don't hit him in the head. Don't do anything stupid, but you're allowed to hit him. I mean, good grief.
Last week, there were only 2 teams that committed more penalties than the Tennessee Titans. The Kansas City Chiefs with 12.
They should have lost.
And the lowly Jacksonville Jaguars with 12.
I mean, even the commentators on TV were saying how stupid the call was. Now, they're I think it was whatever his name is. I can't remember his name. Anyways, the retired ref that they got on.
Yeah.
I'm talking about a guy with a big nose. But anyways, he came on there and said, yeah, that's like a big point of emphasis this year. They're blah, 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 blah. Whatever, dude. It's cleaning up a pile. They hadn't blown the whistle. How can you? I mean, I wouldn't have called it a dirty hit. It was just a football play, in my opinion.
You know what, though, we've learned? The Titans, they come out each week and they go down.
Yep.
Just about, unless it's the Chiefs and you just beat them down. And they go down. They can come back. This team's resilient. I said it last week. Like, if they came out and beat the Colts, like, I'm talking Super Bowl chances here. And they did. They did not just beat them. They got down. They could have lost, like old Titans, 41-14, and they turned it around.
And they did it without a healthy Derrick Henry, quite frankly.
Yeah.
They did it a different way.
This division is over.
Is there any argument about that?
I think mathematically the Colts can't get back. I
They,
think there's
they
too
were
many
really
games.
they were really the only team that was going to threaten them,
The
right?
Jags and Texans are out.
The only way they could get back in it, the Titans would have to go 2-7.
No way.
The Colts would have to win their 4 remaining regular season games and then 2 other ones.
Yeah, that's a
I
lot.
don't
That's
think
asking a
the,
lot.
I don't think the math is there.
It's just not. I mean, Titans are not going to go 2-7.
But
Yeah.
here's something that I'm afraid of now. You said the word Super Bowl. I think Titans fans can just go ahead and write that off. It's over.
Oh,
I think that the Titans will definitely make the playoffs. I think Super Bowl is a fantasy now. We're going to talk about Derrick Henry with his foot injury. I need to learn more about it too. But this guy, he accounted for 219 out of the 230 running back runs for the Tennessee Titans. He has 353 more yards than the second leading rusher. He may still even win the rushing title.
I'm not thought about that.
But I mean, this is devastating with a capital D for Derrick Henry. And tell us more about just the injury itself first.
so it was a Jones fracture. So a Jones fracture is a fracture of the 5th metatarsal in the foot. Okay, so it's the outside part of your foot. Typically, it's just a clean break in the middle. Okay, I don't have any information as to whether it was really shattered or anything like that. Typically, it's not. With a guy like Derrick Henry, I imagine the bones in his feet are pretty hard, so it probably broke pretty clean. So it's a relatively simple procedure that there's a few different ways to do it. They can either put a screw down into the bone or they can put a plate on the side of the bone. Derrick Henry is a different kind of human being also. So the healing time for this is typically anywhere from 6 to 10 weeks. If I had to guess, Derrick Henry's probably going to be closer towards the bottom of that healing in that 6-week period. Now, how they choose to guard him on that is going to be completely different. Because as I tweeted this weekend, that it would be such a Derrick Henry thing to do for him to be ready to come back before the playoffs. I mean, nothing would surprise me with this guy. Don't get me wrong. It wouldn't surprise me for the Titans to say, dude, you're not coming back until the playoffs. And it's probably the right move, frankly.
That's what I was wondering.
Yeah, I mean, he'll be ready. It's really all about, at this point, his wound healing. His bones are going to heal. His bones will 100% heal, and they'll probably heal fast. So it's at this point, it's more about his wound healing than anything else.
I mean, it's the first injury he's ever had.
Yeah, of any significance.
I mean, everybody gets hurt in the NFL.
Yeah. I mean, this kind of thing happens when someone steps on your foot in the NFL. That's really what this is. These feet injuries happen usually whenever these big fat linemen step on your feet.
So I'll take issue with the not Super Bowl. Here's why. There's a couple of reasons. One, who are one of the Super Bowl favorites in AFC people always talk about? Ravens, right?
Yep.
No.
Yes. Are you kidding me?
Not first. Not first.
No, I didn't say first, but they were one of the
They're
favorites.
talking about, even still, Kansas City,
Doesn't have a running
Buffalo.
back. Doesn't have a running back.
Ravens.
Lost their top 3 running backs.
Hang on. What's our record against those two teams? First two teams? Oh,
Kansas City,
Yeah.
win. Buffalo, win.
And Ravens, we've until last year, we've actually done pretty well against. But here, let me talk to the Titans fans
Okay.
of why I like that. Why I don't like this, but why I think it's okay.
Mm-hmm.
Massive loss, right? Henry's got 8% of the team's rushing yards, but the Titans won this game when Henry had 60-something yards and 0 touchdowns and was hurt.
Yeah, you could tell that he was hurt early in the game.
The Titans beat down the Kansas City Chiefs when Henry had 80-something yards and 0 rushing touchdowns. The Titans lost to the New York Jets when Henry had 177 yards and a touchdown. My point is you don't have to have them, and who knows more about football than anyone else, and that's Vegas. Every player is worth something to the point spread, but it's far less in football than in basketball, like if you lose LeBron or something, because one player can't just take over the team. You need all 11 to click together. As much as Henry means to the Titans, how much Vegas thinks he means? 1 point per game.
Wow.
I looked it up. 1 point per game is what Vegas says the difference is without Henry for the Titans.
There are 4 entities that I feel are scared to death right now. And I've mentioned this to Blake. I believe that your quarterback is going to have a microscope on him now. Tannehill is afraid. Your offensive line is afraid that they may get exposed now. Your coach may have some doubts that he gets exposed. And, of course, the hated GM has got to be shaking in his boots, Blake.
Well, I'm not really concerned about the GM because he's not playing on the field. I don't think Mike Vrabel is going to be exposed. I think he's proven himself already. I think that the real concern, and I think it's all legitimate, the offensive line, they've got to be good every week. I mean, they're going to probably throw the ball a little bit more. You know, they picked up Adrian Peterson. We'll talk about that here in a second. But, you know, Titans at times have struggled with pass protection.
Oh, yeah. He mentions every week how fast the sacks are.
Yeah. So, I mean, that has to be better. And, you know, what role does Adrian Peterson play in that as far as his ability to pass block? I don't know. And also, I mean, Tannehill has to be good, you know, and we've seen glimpses at times of him not being so good.
Can we all admit that Tannehill looked just like Wentz last week?
He threw for over 300 yards and 3 touchdowns.
They looked exactly the same. Look, read them.
Oh, sorry.
Exactly the same. 3 touchdowns, 2
on
picks.
33 attempts versus 51 attempts.
They're both the same, folks.
That is not the same.
Nah, I don't think that's the same.
I think Tannehill gets exposed in the coming weeks, and it starts this week with the Rams.
Where Tannehill gets in trouble with his interceptions is when he tries to squeeze this ball into some really tight windows a lot of times. And that's something that he's either got to make better decisions about trying to squeeze it in there, or he just needs to tuck it and run, in my opinion. So I think he's a pretty efficient passer for the most part, but he's got to be good at this point because he's, depending on how Adrian Peterson ends up panning out, he's going to be relied on very heavily to throw the ball.
I'd rather have Tannehill, but I'm saying that they're in ranking 1 through 20. Tannehill might be 13 and Wentz is 14. They're close to the same.
No. Between 10 and 20 yards, Carson Wentz was 3 for 11. Tannehill was 7 for 10. I mean, the reason Carson Wentz has so many completions, I mean, look at all
running
behind.
Backs. Hind?
All behind the
Taylor.
Look at how many of them right here. I mean, no, that's a ridiculous comparison. Tannehill's top 10. Carson Wentz at number 25.
Oh, top 10.
Are you going to go look at the numbers?
Sounds like wishful thinking.
I just talk stats and numbers, and the numbers don't lie.
Yeah, I don't know that I would ever go against the Mr. Stats here.
So the my argument why people talk about, and I do, about how fast the sacks are and everything. The reason is, and I'm flipping this around a little bit because the Titans face loaded 8-9 man boxes more than anybody in the league because of Derrick Henry, right?
Sure.
Yes.
They're not going to see that anymore. These are going to be six.
They should.
They're going to be 6-man boxes, and people are like, well, that's going to double team for AJ Brown and stuff like that. True, but it's also going to be easier to run against. It's also going to be less people pressuring coming after the quarterback. There's not just a negative to this. There also can be a positive version of
Well,
this.
the other thing Tannehill can run. He can do a little bit of running.
Dude, he can't. You can't afford to get him hurt.
God, he gets hurt. Then I will say this.
I don't. Well, see, this is the thing. I don't. He's not the guy that's going to tuck it and jam. It's not going to be a quarterback draw. I'm talking about if everybody starts taking off down the field, he will run.
Could you imagine a Titans team without Tannehill and Henry? It'd be so bad.
Oh, dude. I mean, honestly, if
they still make the playoffs though, because that's how many games they've already banked.
Yeah, they still win 3 games. Yeah. But still, it'd be awful.
Do you want to touch on AP? Because, I mean, the only reason why they didn't sign Walter Payton is because he's dead. Why are they doing this?
Adrian Peterson had over 600 yards last year for the Detroit Lions in 10 games.
I don't have a problem with Adrian Peterson being signed. I mean, no one, first off, you can't replace Derrick Henry. No one is asking. I mean, you're not asking for them to go pick up somebody who's going to be Derrick Henry. What we need somebody to go out there and be consistent and just to be steady. We need them not to fumble the ball. We need them to block when we ask them to block.
Well, congratulations.
We need them to be able to cut back on a zone block if we need to.
It's also not going to be Adrian Peterson alone. This is running back by committee.
Exactly.
It's Devontae Foreman. It's McNichols. And the good thing about this, I'm trying to look at this through the rose-colored glasses here. But the good thing about this, when Derrick Henry was in on the play, you know what was going to happen. When McNichols was in on the play, you knew what was going to happen. You don't know that anymore.
Yeah.
You don't know that they're going to hand it to Adrian Peterson when he's in there every time.
I don't think Peterson's in there to catch a pass.
Why not?
Do you not know? Do you know
Derrick
that? I don't
Henry
know that.
was starting to catch passes, so that was kind of shifting.
Starting to, because he
Peters
just
is not catching any passes
because he was just absolutely nothing. Let me see his receiving stats.
dude.
I'd love to see it.
It's more
I don't know those stats, so that would be pretty interesting.
The
I'll
only
look at
thing
that one
Peterson is catching is naps, and the Price is Right. That
Dude,
guy's old.
Dude, I mean,
He's had seasons. He's had 301 receptions for
But
his
you're
career.
looking at 2007.
I'm for his career.
Oh,
Last year in 10 games with the Lions, he had 12. Before that, 17. Before that, 20. We're
not buying it.
that's the stat. Derrick Henry never had that.
One catch a game.
Derrick Henry did not have that.
He was this year.
This year he was, and it felt like he was really involved in the passing attack because he was just never involved. Derrick Henry's not. That was the argument against Derrick Henry for not being the MVP, because he's not on the field in third downs because he doesn't catch the ball. I mean, he was more this year than he ever has been. I mean, that was not even close. But
Is he okay? Did they sign him in enough time for him to even play this week?
last I heard, he was on the practice squad, and that's probably where. Honestly, I don't see any reason to force him to go out west, fly across the country, go play the Rams, an NFC opponent. When I think he would probably be better served maybe learning a thing or two about the offense.
I think he plays this week.
But I could be wrong.
I mean, I don't know either. I just think he does. What are they going to do? And if anyone could get up to speed, you'd think it'd be a guy that's been in the league for 20 years, right?
That's true. I mean, who would they play? Who would they have at running back if they didn't play?
McNichols.
It's McNichols.
And that's it?
They cut
Unless they do
Sargent.
four.
I mean, that kind of settles it for me. Then he has to play.
There was another guy on the practice squad. I'm forgetting his name, but they let Sargent go.
In which I was a little bit disappointed in that, honestly.
But they brought in Foreman. They could use Foreman. Foreman's been on the team before. I think they're all going to play. I think this is it. But what I really think is it's a Tannehill game.
Yeah.
Uh-oh. But we're not talking about predictions yet.
Yeah.
I had some fun stats, but I wanted to stay away from it.
Sticking with the reactions and teams going out west, we'll just touch on it real briefly because there's not much to say here,
that.
dude.
Pop a beer for that one.
That was awful.
Jeez.
Fuck, I'll pop a beer. Jesus.
Here's the AP.
There you go.
My Jacksonville Jaguars took a little West Coast trip where these two
Idiots. We're idiots.
These two predicted the Jags to win, and of course the Jags fans said, no, not so fast.
Tried to give you a little credit. Tried to give them a little
I
credit.
tried to.
Not so fast. Seattle's winning this game, and not until they prove it. And by God, the Jags laid what would you say, a big brown stinky turd.
It's a big pile of shit is what they are.
The Jags go to 0-4 all time in Seattle with a 31-7 loss. Gosh darn it. Here we go. Geno Smith looked like dang Joe Montana out there. He starts this game, Blake, 14 of 14. That's the most by any quarterback this season. He finished 20 of 24, 83.33%. That's good enough for fourth in Seattle Seahawk history.
It's just pitiful, man. I mean, Urban Meyer will be gone by the end of this year. I'll just go ahead and say that. He is awful. His team is awful. They don't want to play for this guy. Their defense sucks. He's running a college offense. I mean, just whenever I start to think maybe they're going to start making a little bit of a turnaround, they just go down there and they lay the big stinky egg.
I thought coming off the bye week that
that's the worst thing.
I don't even care that Seattle put up points. I'm fine with that. The thing was Seattle's defense is awful.
Yeah, exactly.
And they go out after a bye week with 2 weeks to prepare and put up 7.
That's terrible. That's terrible.
So here's the problem.
Please tell me the problem.
So they're not good. They're not good. They just don't have enough players. They are slow. None of us have ever said LaVisca was fast.
Nope.
Robinson gets hurt in the first quarter of this game.
And Robinson clocked the fastest time in this game for the Jacksonville. And that was
surprised.
And that was only in the first quarter.
He's not the fastest on the team, but I'm not surprised. He's football fast, I guess. But because Jamal Agnew's pretty fast. I say Urban Meyer, what the hell was that? His response is, I felt like every week the team had gotten better and better and better, and today was a step back.
Dude,
Crap. You have a league leading 12 penalties, including back-to-back 12 men on defense.
Oh, man.
Back-to-back plays.
Horrible. That's poor game management.
One was a penalty.
That's with Jones.
One, he had to burn a timeout because the 12th man refused to get off the field.
That is just horrible. That's college crap right there. And then not to mention, you've got your rookie quarterback dropping back 54 freaking times. That's terrible. What do you expect?
And again, we sound like broken records, but this horizontal 54 times and 2 attempts were beyond 20 yards. Out of 54, I understand if you're dropping back 24 times, but 54 and two attempts, and you're down. So it's not like, oh, we had the lead. Let's just dump it off behind the line of scrimmage 12 times. Literally, that's the real number. I don't even know what to say. And people were open. Like Agnew was open. Golly.
They still like Dan. They like their little tight end that they traded for. It's garbage. It's got.
They love Dan Arnold.
No expectations this year, but man, getting a.
Josh Allen was good.
Josh Allen looked good. I asked for more than 1 sack, and I believe he delivered with 2.
Yeah. So, there you go.
I asked for it. Thank you, Josh Allen.
Man, it's just
the defensive Josh Allen, that is. But it's I mean,
it's so
my hair is
frustrating.
Getting more gray.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, rightfully so.
There's nothing else that you can really pull up to make this look good.
I don't know if I really thought that they were going to win or not, but I really thought it was going to be close.
I did too. I thought they were going to put up a fight, and maybe this was going to be the game when Trevor Lawrence just took a hold of the game, but you got to be put in the right position to be able to do that. And I don't think that this coaching staff is going to be able to do that with the rookie quarterback.
Rookie QB James Robinson. He avoided the ankle break. I believe it's a heel, so it's just pain tolerance at this point. Again, I don't know. I don't even really care to see him back against Buffalo. It's a lost cause this week, I believe. But I got to keep telling myself patience. This roster is just not ready yet. We knew it wasn't ready this year. I've said it. This is not the year. But
no.
Having a week to prepare looks bad.
That's bad. It's really bad.
Yeah, that's the problem.
It looks bad on the coaching staff more than anything.
And looking at James Robinson, I'm such a fan. Man, he was effective. 39 yards on 5 touches. I mean,
he can do it.
That's tough. That's tough.
He can get it done. We've been yelling at Urban from Tennessee all year. Give James the ball. But
I was sitting here, allowed 17 receptions on 19 targets on the secondary. Yeah, secondary, 19 targets, 17 receptions, and 2 touchdowns.
Oof.
Griffin was responsible for both touchdowns.
This guy, the rookie, Tyson Campbell, he's fast. And he's in position a lot of the times, but he refuses to turn back and look for the ball.
So they just stop and let him run into it.
He's like running. He's running right with the receiver. So he's like, it feels like tight coverage when you're watching this.
Back shoulder.
The ball is like going right by his head. If he would just turn around, he would see it and just knock it down, but he refuses to turn around.
I'm so glad you said that. Going back to the Titans game, this is how Wentz gets these penalties.
Yeah.
He is so bad at throwing the deep ball that they're underthrown by like 8 yards.
And they're coming back.
Yeah, and you just run into the guy when he stops, which I feel like should not be. I mean,
that's such crap.
But I don't even know who Rudy Ford is, but he was he was your best corner on the day.
Rudolph.
All right, I'm getting off of this game. Let's go to Dallas. Another backup quarterback shows himself here, and somehow, some way, not only did Dallas win 20-16, but they covered a 3-point spread and pissed me off, Parker.
They should not have covered. This is absolute BS coverage. 2 weeks in a row that's a BS cover from the Cowboys.
They're covering every single week, and it doesn't matter if it's Cooper Rush.
About them boys.
The fat guy in the 5th row. I mean, Jesus.
Cooper Rush. I'm tired of people hearing all week about how good he was. He had a guy wide open that could walk into the end zone. And the next one, he hit the defensive player in the hands.
Oh, God.
Bounces off. And Cooper, that catch doesn't happen. They lose the game. But really, this game goes on Minnesota on Zimmer. I mentioned to Bradley, I think that Minnesota wins this game if Dak plays, because I think Zimmer, he likes being defensive. He likes running the ball. He's like, oh, good, we got Cooper in. We can just slow it down and win this 17-14, and that's what happens.
So from the Cowboy household, pretty nice night, huh? Or were you guys nervous down here?
I look, everybody loves an underdog story. Everybody loves, the backup stepping up and getting it done. I guess it's a good story. It's kind of, it kind of scares me a little bit how this is trending for the Cowboys. It's like they just keep falling into wins like this. And
take them.
I mean,
Yeah.
How far can they take it? I mean, Dak comes back healthy.
Take him all the way to play.
Keeps doing Dak stuff. I mean, golly.
I wanted to touch on the other quarterback because it directly affected me and my fantasy football team. It
was bad.
Garbage.
I've never scored 70 fantasy football points before.
Oh, who beat you?
Got my team.
Yeah, he beat me with something like 110, which I should have dominated. But Kirk Cousins is my starting fantasy quarterback, and this was another primetime dud by Kirk Cousins. 184 yards and a touchdown. Cooper Rush had 325 and 2.
They let Cooper Rush throw it deep more than Trevor Lawrence, by the way.
Yeah, I beat Bradley, and I had 2 players that got me 0 points.
That's horrible.
That's
And I had stacked Cousins, Jefferson, Cook, a bunch of nothing.
You would have thought this would have been a great game for fantasy. Yeah, he wasn't good. This is a bad game for all. I don't even know what to say about it. I was so pissed about that catch at the end of the game.
Yeah, that's not good. But it kept with the trend of what we'll touch on next. These backup quarterbacks, man.
I want to say about the Cowboys. Everybody's talking about Trayvon Diggs and his interceptions and everything, and about how he should win defensive MVP. Well, there's a reason he's getting interceptions. It's because they're throwing at him. It's because his coverage sucks. If you look at the stats, he gives up more. He's giving up more yards than any cornerback in the NFL.
I didn't realize.
I didn't know that.
That's why he has so many interceptions. You look at stuff like Revis Island, and he didn't have many interceptions because he created that island, and nobody threw it to him.
I think Jalen's the same way.
Exactly. So he didn't have a ton of interceptions because they don't throw it at him.
Yeah, throw it away from him.
I didn't even think about that.
Anyway.
Interesting. Yeah. This was the Sunday of backups. We've already talked about Geno Smith. We've talked about Cooper Rush. This guy predicts Mike White.
Yeah, it just made sense. The game, the position made sense. And they were fading the Jets too much. Like the line changed 6 points when it went from Zach Wilson to Mike White. Like who cares? Like, I mean, he's one of the worst quarterbacks in the league right now. And just the Cincinnati spot coming off maybe one of the biggest wins in franchise history against Pittsburgh. Then they have the lowly Jets. Then they have Cleveland. It just made sense.
Oh, and I'm still considering Davis Mills a backup, Blake. He had 310 yards and 2 touches against the Rams.
What's going on this year? I don't get it.
Maybe we can ask the Bucks and Tom Brady what's going on, because they lost 36-27 to another backup quarterback when Jameis went out.
I mean, dude, Tom didn't look good. I don't think Tom looked like Tom, for sure. I mean, first off, really nasty injury with Jameis. That sucks. I don't ever want to see anybody get hurt. But yeah, definitely Trevor stepped up and did it, didn't he?
Trevor is better than Tom. Is that what we're saying?
I'm not. No.
I wouldn't.
Before we turned in our confidence,
by Bradley's logic, he would say that he was better.
No.
They're the exact same. They're the exact same.
No.
Before we did our where we pick every game, I went and did some research on this game. I wish I had this stat last week because I would have picked them too.
Tom Brady's number 1. Trevor Simeon's a close 2.
Right there, right behind him.
I mean,
Payton's at 7.
I mean, it's right there.
I mean, and Winston and Tannehill are basically the same.
Exactly the same quarterback. So Brady has struggled against the Saints since Brady has been in Tampa. He has thrown 7 interceptions against the Saints alone, and every other team combined is 13.
That is weird.
In the world?
That
Does he
is
not
so
like
weird.
gold? I mean, is it playing with his eyes?
I don't know. I have no idea. Just you can't figure him out.
Wow.
Jeez.
Interesting stat there.
I mean,
Interesting.
I had New Orleans, but that was on the premise of
I did
Jameis
not.
Winston.
I did not.
Not on Trevor.
Oh no!
I didn't think interception Jameis was gonna be able to do it.
Well,
maybe he wouldn't have.
Maybe that's a good thing. Maybe
Maybe he wouldn't have. Maybe that was the caveat there.
the unfortunate injury and this last topic about some unfortunate news. Tell us more, Parker, about Henry Ruggs, the whatever he is.
Well, Ruggs is done playing football. At least
Forever.
Yeah, probably forever.
Bye.
Got arrested, DUI, ran into somebody, killed him. Came in, a 23-year-old girl, Tina Tinton, I think her name is. Came out. He was going 156 miles per hour. I believe it was in a 45 miles per hour zone.
Jeez.
So it wasn't even like, I mean, this would be awful, but it wasn't on the interstate. It was like,
He's in downtown Vegas.
yeah, he's on Memorial.
Yeah.
Twice the legal limit. It's not like, oh, do you have one or two? No, he's twice the legal limit. Killed her dog too, by the way. Her dog was in the car. Awful. I don't even want to get into the details about. She was trapped in the. It was. If y'all read it, go read it. If you want to read it, it's everything about it is just terrible. And the way I look at this is, to take it back to football. The Raiders. I mean, what have they gone through this year? You know, they've lost coach. You know, which one? I think losing one thing can help rally a team. Losing two, man, it just starts to get devastating. And I don't know if y'all saw Derrick's Carr's presser. He came out and he was really, honestly, really, really good. And he even goes out there and he says, "Hey, just letting you know, any of my teammates that need me at 3 or 4 in the morning, call me.
Yeah.
Like, call me. No questions asked. I will come get you." He shouldn't even have to do that. I mean, Ruggs has got all the money in the world. It's called Uber. The NFLPA has a thing in every single city where you just make a phone call and they come get you anonymously, so no one's going to know about it. It's just a horrible situation. And if he is convicted with what he is charged with, it does not look good in Nevada. It carries a minimum of 2 years, a maximum of 20.
I mean, switching gears here a little bit. I mean, Bradley and I have talked about on other podcasts that we do on our other channel, the Dad Coop podcast, that your decisions have consequences. And this is, unfortunately, this is a life-changing decision that he made for really stupid reasons. There's really no good reason to ever be going 156 miles an hour. And, you know, not to mention his situation being that he's a millionaire driving a probably close to $1 million car, being in a situation where, like you said, he didn't have to drive. Why do you even drive? Basically being able to do just about anything he wants around the city of Las Vegas outside of doing something like this, where you make a stupid decision, someone ends up getting hurt, and in this case, killed because you are impaired, you get behind the wheel, you decide to step on the gas in a V12. This is just a horrible situation. It's a bad look for the Raiders. Like you said, they've had their share of bad publicity this year already. Like you said, I think Carr handled it tremendously well in his press conference. But it's just a shame that that he even had to address it. I mean, it also makes you wonder, why in the world, as an NFL football team, do you want to have your team so close to a town or a city that can bring the worst out of these young kids?
Gosh, it's awful. So that's I'm glad you said that, because I put that on Twitter. The first thing that came out when they moved to Vegas was, oh my God, they're going to Sin City. What is going to happen? And I'm not counting last year because pandemic, everything's closed. There's nowhere to go, right? Yeah. You count, if you look it up this year, it took 8 weeks for a Raider to kill somebody.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. It's horrible. I mean, I'm not saying he meant to do it. It's just that if you're around, if it's so easily to access and also you're talking about a kid that just got handed God knows how many $1 million to play in the NFL, something like this is bound to happen.
He, according to the reports, Ruggs was rude, loud, uncooperative, incoherent with medical staff and police. When he asked him, Ruggs to clarify, just repeated home, began mumbling. Just was not understandable because he was so drunk. I got a little bit of an argument, a little bit with the guy on Twitter, because he responded to me that I can't blame the city for the wreck. And my response was, I can't, because how many players are getting drunk and killing people in their cities? There's 4 over the last 25 years that I know of. And then I look at the stats and numbers don't lie. You know, I'm looking it up on different websites. The number 1 city in the country for DUIs But do I even have to say it, right? You know, and I'm not doing per capita because there's a city in Wyoming that's got like 10 people and one person gets it and you have 10% of the town. Just sheer numbers. So yeah, I really think the Raiders organization is going to have a discussion with the players. It just, if something happens again, this is not a narrative yet, and I don't think it's going to be, but if something happens again, it's going to get bad. It's going to get bad real quick.
It is really unfortunate situation. Could have been avoided altogether. You hate for other people to be able to have to learn lessons based on something tragic like this happening, but hopefully it leads to better awareness, better management of players in the future as far as all this kind of stuff goes.
Thoughts and prayers to the families that
Absolutely.
were impacted.
Awful.
Absolutely.
I've got nothing else, guys, unless something else stuck out to you from NFL action.
No, I'm just still reeling from Ryan Tannehill and Carson Wentz are the same.
They're the exact same person. I can't even tell the difference.
I don't understand how Tom Brady and Trevor Siemian are not.
How does Tannehill walk with his 2 sprained ankles?
I don't know.
I
don't
never
know.
said those words.
I don't know. I mean, golly, what in the world?
We will see the true Tannehill.
Does this mean Zach Wilson and Ryan Tannehill are the same
Absolutely not.
Well, I mean, it's right there.
I didn't say that.
Zach
It's right
won.
there.
He's way better.
Zach won.
Mike White won.
Okay, is he better than Tom Brady?
Nobody might be better
Tom
than
Brady
Tannehill.
didn't win though.
Mike White might be right there with
It's
him.
right there. It's right there. All right, guys. Hey, thanks for joining us on this, our NFL reaction show. Please check us out on Twitter at DDS Sports Talk. Tell us what you think about the terrible happenings out in Las Vegas with Ruggs. Like I said, we really wish all the families out there that are affected by this, we're thinking about you for sure. Guys, any parting comments?
Tighten up.
I'm interested to see Rams, Titans. Will the true Ryan Tannehill please stand up? Please stand up.
When he has 400 yards.
I'll acknowledge it.
All right.
I'm not betting on it.
It'll be tough because Carson Wentz is nipping at his heels.
Hey,
you
stay
guys,
tuned. We'll have our pick shows coming out soon.
Absolutely. You guys be well.